Okay, so I've done some notes for down on the corner. I've added some relatively extra comprehensive stuff to outline the process that sort of emerged in the course about how it's important to get away from stepwise thinking and go to moving towards turning these stepwise thoughts into hand actions and sound contours. And this is going to be on down on the corner. Okay, everything you do, every time you start a new song, you start with stepwise thinking, because you glance over a song, for instance, and you're looking for any chords that you've never seen before and you can't play. So fortunately in this song there's only 3: C, F and G. Doesn't matter how you voice it, you voice G that way. That's between you and your psychiatrist. And the first thing to attend to is obviously if there's any shapes you don't know, you need to know them. So think about this. It's not about just knowing you've played a C chord before, so I know a C. It's almost like I'm going to introduce a thing where every chord that we've got in the chord pool for a song will test your ability to play on a quick draw basis. So it'll be like I'll say the chord and it'll say C, play a C. So I'll say an F, you play an F. I'll say a G, you play a G. It's like a quick draw thing, because at the first stage you need is that there's got to be no thought process between calling for a single chord and making the single chord. This is why in the beginners class practice lots of chord pairs, and this is why I spend a lot of time in the improvers class focusing on the chord lines. It doesn't tend to help much, it helps a little bit, and this is why I'm sort of going down this rabbit hole, because I think that we can make this process a lot more efficient. So the first thing you do before you stepwise anything is you've got to know the components, the right things, everything that's involved in the song. You need to know, make sure you can play all of it. The problem with stepwise thinking is that full speed, your memory won't be able to keep up. Your thoughts, your memories, the recall of things, if they're not instant, you won't be able to do it. At full speed, a song, it'll just run over you. Sooner rather than, depending on your experience. The fallacy is that you think that if you keep repeating things, you get quicker, and you do get quicker eventually, but it's a very torturous and slow process, and it's very stressful because your brain is going into, there's lots of things hitting you and bombarding you from all directions, and generally that just overloads you. So the idea, the basic root of the idea, mean that if this is why you practice chords, because you've got to be able to just put your hand into a chord for when you need it. When you call to a chord, you've got to be able to go there. And what we do is we take those. If you're a beginner, then you like your C chord comes like this, your first ever C chord, and after you've been playing it for a day or two, you call on a C chord, and it sort of goes. And there's one. Where's the other one? And you end up playing it. Sounds like that. And then so eventually you can call on your chord. And the process is just scales from there. You've got just different levels of chunking of information, and when you call on bigger and bigger chunks, so each chunk becomes automatic. So there's no thinking involved in the chunk, just how you manipulate the chunk and what the next chunk is coming up. This is the broad overview of moving from stepwise to action. But there's a few little things that I want to pass on to you here. So the chord lines in down on the corner, there's only three chord lines. So there's all different permutations of G's, C's and F's you can do, but you don't need to know every one. You just need to know the chord line. First chord line is G, is C, 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 G, C. Now you can turn that into two actions. Turn into an action of C, C, and then you can go G, C is your second action. The demarcation of actions is where you can put some thinking in. So you never think during an action, but you can think before and after the action. So if you move from having to think about four chords, four thinking steps to go from C to G, C to C to G to C, you've cut it down by half already. So you go C, C, G, C, C, G, 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 C. Now, the really important thing is that when you play, you can have it written down in front of you, you can have it written up on a wall in front of you, but you're not reading that while you're playing. You can glance at it before you play, and you look away from it if necessary. But the first goal is that whatever the internal structure of the chord line is, you've got to be able to remember C, C, G, C, or two chord lines, C, C and G, C. Your goal then is to just play it, call for it and play it, C, C, G, C, at whatever speed you go. Again, when time for this song, it's not always the case, but for most of the songs in the beginner's class at least, downstrokes. So when you start to put a pulse into it, all the chords are going to be landing on downstrokes for this song. If you find yourself making a chord change in an upstroke, you've got to attend to that. It's kind of a slightly separate issue, but some people do struggle with that. So I do that, a lot of that in the class, but you've got to be aware of that to remedy it for yourself as well. C, C, G, C. It doesn't take as long as you think, particularly if you hold it in your memory. You work with from memory, so your memory's job is to remember the line. Your memory and your mind isn't to seek it out on the fingerboard. That's the automation process. This is the automation process. When you can do that, you still have when you can actually execute the whole chord line as an action. So you just say, I want to play the chord line, and you go. What you'll start to hear is the contour of the sound contour. Because as long as you're executing the action and you're not thinking, the only thinking you're going is, does that sound nice? Yes, that sounds nice. Does this sound nice? Yeah, I've got to pull that one off. And if you do a C that goes, that's crap. You need to sort that out. You should be able to hear that. Your job is to be not perfect, but your goal is to improve over time. Your chord voicing sound better over time. That's what your mind should be doing, not what's an F. If you're doing what's an F in the middle of this, you stop and you go back and you practice your F chord, or you practice a 2-chord song. So the point is you need to get to the stage where you can hear the contour of that. Now the thing is right, this is the point. Whatever you execute, so this is your contour. If you hear this, you just know, it doesn't matter. You don't have to go, what was that weird chord? You don't need to know it was a D minor. You just know it's the wrong contour, because that's the right chord, that's the right chord, that's the wrong chord. Because what you're looking for is your mind's job is to take the input, the sounds coming into your ear from your playing, and judge if it's the right thing or not. That's the wrong voicing. And if you play a bad voicing, that's supposed to be C. Your brain's going, well, is that supposed to be C? Really? You're giving me that, are you? Hand, you're giving me that? No. Your mind goes, yeah, that's fine. And if you play like a lazy C, or you drop a few notes out, but they work okay, I've lost a couple of notes there, you go, oh, we'll work on that. All of this is where your brain should be focusing, not where's my neck, what's an F, what's a G. Now you stand. So you practice those chord lines. It doesn't take long. You got the second chord line goes F, F, C. Simple. And the third chord line is the chorus, which is the most complicated one. And this one changes on every beat, so there's no each one's you've got. Yeah, that's it. So, and those are the only 3 chord lines. So, I would imagine the way I've rambling on and the number of times I'm playing it, that and the bit of music you've already done already, that if you focus your attention on what the chord lines sound like, those 3 chord lines are probably, hopefully, already becoming somewhat familiar. So that's your job. Once you can play the chord lines, you know, the parts, the song parts, the song's broken up into parts, then each part is a certain stacking of each chord line. So the verse is line 1, repeat, line 2, and then end the part with line 1 again. So this is why when you're learning the chord line, you've got to learn to hold 4 chords in your memory, because now you've got to hold 4 chord lines in your memory. But you don't have to remember G, G, C, G, 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 C, G, because you've already gone through that stage. It's now a single unit. You just call on line 1, repeat, call on line 2, and then you say, I want line 1 again. And each time you execute it without thinking, and at the end, as you come to the end of the line, your ear's going, yeah, your ear's sending it to your brain's going, keep going, that's fine. This is the learning process. This is the learning process. And then the chorus itself, you go, okay, well the chorus is the line 3, and all it does is repeat line 3 twice. Well, that's the first time, repeating. There's a break. There's only the part in the song is a break. You've got the intro, the verse. The intro and the verse are the same underlying chords. The chorus, which we've just done, and there's a break, which is actually half a verse. It's the first 2 lines of a verse, which is line 1 repeated twice. I'm not going to play it because it's simple. So the other thing is, while you're doing all that work, probably while you're learning the chord lines, you should be doing some listening to the song, because each chord line relates to a line of melody and a line of lyric. So if the chord line, it's not always the case. What we're trying to do, we don't need to know the subtle differences in the verse. This line gets repeated 3 times. Each line is a subtle different. The line ends slightly, the melody ends slightly different. But all you want is a generic, simple analog for the melody that works. So if I put a melody over it, la, 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 la. No, la 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 la. That's good enough for that, right? And I think it's better to start integrating the melody when you're piecing the chord lines together into parts, because to some degree it's like a kind of a knock-on effect, like, you know, multiple car pile up on a motorway. You know, the melody of the first line pushes onto the melody of the second line, which prompts, it's a support thing. But what you should be doing is what I call in the notes motivated listening to the record, because again the melodies, there's only 3 melody structures, simple structures that get modified. But if you can, the simplified melody is enough for you to get a sense of the structure of the song part and eventually the song. So you've got 3 chord lines and basically 3 melodies, and there's not a lot to learn. Most of your work is in reconstructing the song from these components. So you end up with la 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 la. I'll do that for all of the GCGCs. Then you've got la 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 la. And the tune is almost basically the same tune but shifted up. What you can say a fourth. So it's the same contour, but the whole contour is higher than the one for G. it's almost the same contour. So again, once you got the one, you should be fine. And then the chorus, which is la 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 da 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 da, and it repeats twice. Now again, you can learn the melody by breaking the melody into, like, if you break the chords into pairs, instead of a 4-chord line, start with a 2-chord pair, and half the melodies also, you know, for the chorus, say it'd be la 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 la, that's half of a line, la 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 la, and that's all you have to learn. I mean, it's like there's such small fragments, but as you play them more and more, and they eventually that'll be just one melody line and one action, la 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 la, and the chorus now becomes just do that twice, which is a lot easier than remembering 8 different chord steps. Even though there's repetition, you've got to remember 8 different chord steps and stepwise to melody and all this other stuff. Whereas you go, oh, chorus comes up, you go, okay, la la la, call for the line, la 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 la, repeat, la 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 la. Any slight differences, you'll hear the difference if you're listening. You'll hear the difference, and as you get the song more, you'll just zero in on the slot and the modifications in the right place. This is another reason why when you play, if you're trying to identify a chord line, which you know, and you hear, you know there's something wrong, because you're switched on and you're listening. You're listening to it, and you've got a model of this. You're building a model of the song. So this is the why. You switch on to the right things, life becomes a lot easier. You switch on to the wrong things, and you're just wading through tar. And that's so the part comes together, and you get to know the. It's better to listen to the recording to get to know the melody. Read throughs are fine, but even just listening to the melody itself, repeatedly. Short concentrated bursts, a couple of playthroughs the song, because again you've only got, how long is that? It's about 4 seconds maybe. Let's just say each fragment's 4 seconds. You've got 3 chord lines to learn, to internalise. That's 12 seconds of music, approximately 12 seconds of unique contour. And then you spin it out into an entire song. So, you know, it's not as big a job as you think. So you can concentrate and do say, if you play a song, if you play Down in the Corner twice, it's just about 5 minutes, I think. It's 5 minutes around that. You're gonna hear that CCGC melody. You're gonna hear it. There's 4 verses. There's 2 as intro, repeated twice. So that's 6 times. So you're going to hear it 3 times in each one. So you're going to hear it 36 times every time you play it. That one melody. You're going to hear it 36 times. Twice, you're going to hear it 72 times. You play it the song for 10 minutes, 4 repeats. You're going to hear it 144 times in 10 minutes. If you're switched on to what the melody, you're looking for what that melody is, and you're singing along with it, and just let your ear do its own work. How long do you think it shouldn't take long for you to get that tune, just the contour of it? So this is what I'm trying to say, because the bigger job is actually piecing it together into parts and arrangement. So I wouldn't make too much of an attempt to piece them together in parts until you can comfortably drop the melody on top of the chord line, because this is what happens. You get to the point now where you're building the song part. So the verse, la 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 la, and you forget. Then you and it doesn't matter about getting things wrong. It's just, if you give yourself a chance and start, the song, the missing piece of information will probably come. If it doesn't, you just listen to the record a little, put the record on, play the record once. Don't even work out, that should be landing on beat 3 and all this other stuff. Sing the tune so the tune's more present. Go back and switch the record off, play it. Repeat. Upper fourth. Even if you get them, I'm getting the melody wrong there, but it still fits. It doesn't. And what happens is all the little mistakes you make, your brain's still going, I'll let that one pass, that one can't pass. What happens is often you let stuff pass that's wrong, but it just works right. It just fits, it seems to fit, your brain passes. And when you go back to listen to the record, you go, oh, I've done that. It's completely wrong, but it sounds all right. So you end up learning the right one, and you've got a new one that you can mess around with and interchange in. You know, when you come to playing lead lines, that's the way you develop your playing. You know, so there are mistakes that you can pass, that will pass, and there's mistakes that won't pass. But you've got to have, part of learning to play is becoming more your ability to kind of judge what works and what doesn't work more instantly. And this is really where we should be focusing. So that's the verse. You know, the chorus. I mean, I recommend going with I recommend learning the choruses of songs first anyway. Repeat the same line. Then repeats. Just repeats twice. And the fact is the song's called Down on the Corner, and you listen, you do a playthrough, you hear the chorus 4 times, and you're going to hear Down on the Corner. The chorus always starts with Down on the Corner. So the trigger of the word you hear, even if you get you're in a daze because you're enjoying yourself so much, and suddenly you're thinking about the verse, and suddenly you're playing through the verse, and suddenly you hear Down on the Corner. Your hand will just go straight to the F, because it's another trigger. You got a melodic trigger because you hear the melody, you respond to the melody. You got a chord line trigger because you hear the contour of the chord, even if you don't know what the chord is, and pull your hand into hopefully the correct chord line. And you hear a melodic trigger as well. You hear a melodic trigger because of the chord, the contour. So you've got all these different things working that you've got experience of, which just pull you through the song. And your brain's just sitting there going, yeah, I'm happy with that, I'm happy with that. Yeah, that's good, that's fine, keep going. Melody. And you got Down on the Corner, la, and even then you just la the bits you don't know. Down on the corner, la 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 la, da da da. It doesn't sing down the corner. You can go down the corner, la 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 la. And you know, if it doesn't feel like it resolves properly, just pick a note that you think resolves, and then compare it with the record. You know you want it to resolve, hopefully. So you just pick it. So you get to that point where you play through the parts, get to know the parts, and then finally you're looking at the arrangement of the parts. Now, the song goes. There's four verses, 4 chorus repeats. So it goes intro, verse. It goes intro, verse, chorus. Gets you into the song. Then it goes verse, chorus, verse, chorus. So you've got, not only do you kind of chunk, you've got a chunk that you call the verse and a chunk that you call chorus. Because it goes verse, chorus 3 times, repeats, you can bolt those together into actions. Now at that stage, you're navigating the song. You don't necessarily but you just, as you flow it to the end of the verse and go into the chorus, down on the corner, as in the transition goes, it's becomes so smooth because it becomes so common that you probably don't even need a thinking point there. You just respond. This is the way the song, you get even less drama. And thinking points are drama points, because the only time you need to think in a song is when there's a drama. Oh, I forgot. What am I doing? I don't know what the chord is. Oh, it's always a drama. So the less thinking points, the less drama, and the more relaxed that you play. So essentially, that's the structure of the song goes. You play the intro, bang, then you go verse, chorus, verse, chorus, verse, chorus. It would be just verse, chorus, and out. But after the third pair of verse choruses, there's a break. Now, there's no point. It's like a journey from Scotland to Cornwall. You're starting out at Scotland and the intro, and you're driving down south. You're driving in a south direction. But the break is like 3/4 of the way on the journey, which is somewhere around Somerset probably, or Bristol. I don't know. So there's no point worrying about the break when you're up in Glasgow, passing Glasgow. So, you know, you get that crude structure of intro. Okay, what am I then? Just 4 verse choruses, bang, 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 and then repeat the chorus and out. But then you keep getting tripped up by where the break comes in. But you know there's supposed to be a break. So then you start to realise where the break is. It's where you're being tripped up. And the break is just 2 extra lines of chord line 1, which is... So, do you see how you don't have to memorise the entire... But you still have to be working on building a better and better knowledge, but a better and better picture of the song. But you don't worry when your picture fails. It's information to help you refine your picture. So if I get a chance, if this doesn't run out of space, I'll just show you now. So the intro, just to give you. So I'll play through the intro. The first section of the song, which is intro, verse, chorus. One thing I haven't mentioned is the intro as a guitar line. And that's the line that's played over 1 chord line. It's only like a melody. It's just played on the guitar, so you know it's la 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 la. It's almost like a nursery rhyme tune. You learn to sing it the way you learn every other part. When you come to playing it, which we did a section of it in the improvers class in week 10, quite a bit on it. You play from your singing outwards. So again, you need to be able to sing the thing, and you do the same. You approach it the same. You know, you can either sing it as a single melody line, la 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 la. You haven't got to be pitch perfect because your guitar's your pitch tool. It sorts your pitches out if you play the right notes. But you need the dan 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 dan. You have to be able to sing along and map it. So, and from there you do the same thing. So if you might want to break that in. You might chunk that into 2 before you can turn it into a single action or a single line. I'll play it on. I'm not going to demonstrate it, but this might. Some of you it might jog your memory. So you know the whole line is. And you can see, hopefully, you can see the movement from the G to the C to the G to the C again. You can turn that into 2. You go as one phrase, and then while you're learning to play it stepwise, then you've got the second half. So you've got thinking time between the 2, but you're not going. Once you've started the process of stepwise, you're trying to chunk it. Your goal is to just. I'd rather you trip yourself up. This reflects back on the first thing I said in the video. That I'd rather you're trying to chunk this together and trip yourself up because you're trying to combine them into actions and contours than get preoccupied with pernickety single notes at any point, you know. So I'll sing the part, the melody on top of the changes, which is the point that you're trying to get to. And I know in advance I'm playing intro, verse, chorus. That gets me virtually a third of the way, a quarter of the way through the song. So it's I'd be spotted the mistake. In the street. Da, 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 da. Just so you know, once we get to the end of that section, intro, verse, chorus, we just now pairing verse, chorus a few times. So as you come into the end of the chorus, da, 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 da. So I couldn't always sing down on the corner there. Down on the corner, out in the street. First line is very easy to learn and remember. It shouldn't. If I can't remember Willie and the Poor Boys, I'd sing da 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 da. And what happens is when you start to combine the chord changes, the chord lines with the tune, you start to notice how the chord changes kind of come at logical places in the tune, and when you know the words, they kind of emphasize the words. They have a certain relationship, but you have to learn that relationship by playing it. You see, this is why I say until you can play the chord lines and hear the contours and piece it together, until you can play them as part of the songs as parts, that's the point where now you start learning the song. You're not really learning the song till you start working on piecing the song parts into an arrangement, because while you're doing that, you're developing the nuances and subtleties, and you're making it more detailed. But you've got to have that sort of like rough sketch of the song and the song parts, which we'd almost rarely ever get beyond in the classes, in either the beginners or the improvers classes, you know. So we're trying to see if we can get beyond that. So yeah, so that's it really. If I'll finish the song, I'll just play through the whole thing and give you some idea of my thinking points that I think you'd probably find the points where you'd need to think as well. So I'll go back from the whole thing. You know, there's no more pep talk or anything, so if you want to switch off there, this is more than long enough. If you want to carry on going through it, and it's slow enough so you can play it, you know, after you've watched. The problem with this is you got to watch this video through a few times probably to get it all together and play along a little bit with it. But anyway, combined with the notes that I've shared on WhatsApp and the PDF that you should have by the time you see this, excuse me, you've got a lot of information about the underlying processes that we're going to use in the class and help you play this song and other songs. So this is the whole full arrangement. Tick, I'm doing counting now. Tick, tock, tock, tock. Da 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 verse. Down on the corner, out in the street, la 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 la, la 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 la, da 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 da, straight into the verse, da 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 da, 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 da 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 da. Chorus. In the street. Now, third verse. It's just a repeat of the intro. But you don't want it to fool you. What's coming up? To be a chorus. Down on the corner, because they always come in pairs. Out in the street. Now here's the break. It's a rhythm. Last verse. It's just la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la. Chorus. Down on the corner, out in the street, da 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 da. Repeat chorus. Down on the corner, out in the street, in the poor boys' lane. Just repeat and fade. Down, down on the corner, mistake. Out in the street, in the poor boys' fade out. So that'll be it. That's it. If you've stopped it this long, I'm going to turn this around so just so you can see my Christmas tree. And it's fibre optic. Oh, that's interesting. Do some weird stuff on the camera. There's the fibre optic Christmas tree just to prove it's Christmas. Merry Christmas to you alls.